Corrupt police accused of shaking down a wanted fugitive. Thai police are keeping an eye on your bank account, and that's leading to some major arrests. A Canadian man decides to show his appreciation by running a real-life GTA mission in Krabi, and a tragic speedboat disaster that's raising serious questions about tourism safety in Southeast Asia. Yes, it's been another wild week. How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been here for a while, you can probably tell we've got a bit of a new setup going. And if you would like to hear a little bit more about the new equipment that we were so nicely gifted, we're going to test it out a little bit first. So we will be sure to keep you updated on that. But back to the point of this video, you know how we do it here. I spent the last 2 days rounding up these stories that stood out to me the most when it comes to Thailand headlines. As always, we had some that kind of just had me saying WTF to myself. So let's dive right in. 5 Thai police officers wanted in extortion of 6 million baht from a British fugitive. Thailand's National Anti-Corruption Commission, also known as the NACC, resolved that there are sufficient grounds to pursue criminal and disciplinary action against 6 people, including 5 police officers, over the extortion of 6 million baht from a British drug kingpin, Ritesh Patel. Patel, who was wanted in the UK over alleged drug trafficking offenses, fled to Dubai before traveling to Thailand in June of 2022. Immigration officers later arrested him in Phuket after determining that he had entered the country using a fraudulent passport. According to investigators, Patel then asked his Thai friend, Tirawan Kiao Nam, to present his passport to officials. Authorities found that the passport and visa had been revoked. According to the NACC's investigation, Patel later sought assistance to secure his release. Tirawan was introduced to Wataya Som Sri Kamul, who allegedly claimed he could arrange Patel's release through his connections with a senior police officer, later identified as Ramate Kao Sung Noin. Investigators said Wataya allegedly claimed Ramate could facilitate the process, prompting Patel to instruct Tirawan to transfer 6 million baht. Despite the payment, Patel was not released. Tirawan later filed a complaint with the Royal Police alleging extortion. Now, if you've spent any time in Thailand, you know, but in case you don't, if you're coming from the West, police proceedings tend to just work a little bit differently here. A lot of the time, especially for minor stuff, it's not really the, hey, you get a ticket, you got to go to court, then you pay your fines, all this, hoopla. There's kind of just a lot of the middle ground cut out most of the time, even if everything is done legitimately according to Thai police standards. Of course, something that tends to happen with that is sometimes money gets lost in translation. Let's just put it that way. There is a common theme that a lot of people like to talk about. That's, hey, if you've got the money, you can make things happen in Thailand. And now I feel like most of the time that's not necessarily just correct, connected to the police. There's a lot of times, if you got to deal with any type of hoopla, paperwork, things like that, it's a lot easier to facilitate it, get shit done. It's a lot less stressful if you can throw a little bit of money at it. But Thailand, just like anywhere else, times are changing. While some people really like this system, of course, other people don't. So it does seem like there's a lot of external and internal pressure from both the police and the public to kind of start nipping this in the butt. I did read a little bit more that the lead investigator on this investigation has mentioned that this is very much on their radar. This is pretty much the sole thing they are focusing on right now. So I have a feeling this will not be the last story that we hear like this. Now, moving along to our next story. Speaking of money, over the past couple years, Thai authorities have really started to try to crack down on scam networks, criminal networks that have notoriously and somewhat historically been using Thailand as a place to kind of move money around to be able to take it back to their country without a lot of questions being asked. 2 Russians held with over 5.4 million baht from mule accounts. Police arrested 2 Russian nationals during raids at 3 locations in Phuket on Tuesday, July 8th, seizing more than 5.4 million baht as part of an investigation into mule accounts linked to call center scams. The operation followed information from the Anti-Cyber Scam Network, which alerted officers from Provincial Police Region Number 8 and Phuket Provincial Police to suspicious activity involving Russian nationals repeatedly withdrawing large amount of cash from ATMs across the province. According to investigators, banks later confirmed that the withdrawals were made from mule accounts that had received transfers from victims of call center scams. Police reviewed CCTV footage, examined financial records, and gathered evidence before carrying out searches at 3 properties in Phuket. At the first location in Wichit subdistrict, police arrested 26-year-old Russian national Ilya. Police seized 638,700 baht in cash during the search. At the second property, officers arrested another foreign national, Igor. Authorities confiscated more than 4.8 million baht in cash, including 4.5 million baht in Thai currency and the equivalent of about 206,000 baht in US dollars. At a third location in Chang Tale subdistrict, officers did not find the suspect they were seeking. However, investigators collected evidence from the property and said efforts to locate the individual are continuing. So there's a lot of people that are very torn about this whole situation. On one side, which I agree with, Thailand wants to get rid of this type of thing. Over the past, especially 5 years or so, Thailand has really been trying to remarket itself on the world tourism market as, a very high tier destination. That's hard to do if your destination is somewhat, I wouldn't say notorious, but somewhat known for people kind of using it as, a Wild West. I do think there have been quite a few people that have kind of gotten thrown to the wayside because of it, because most things now, especially when it comes to fraud and things like that, you'll know a lot of them are driven by AI computer systems, and sometimes flags can come up for people just doing very normal stuff, especially if it gets frozen for something that's been flagged as maybe criminal activity. It can be very, very hard to get it back or get it released. So I read a bit more around on this, kind of how they are looking for these types of accounts, and I do believe a lot of the investigators and the criminal enforcement agencies are taking note and trying to optimize things so more people don't kind of get caught up for just doing normal day-to-day stuff. Side note, in regards to these stories, especially when it comes to foreigners seemingly breaking the laws in Thailand, I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like we're seeing them more and more. I want to know what you think. Are we seeing them more and more because it's happening more and more, or is it just the land of the internet these days? These are the types of stories that get reported on. Do you think, which one is it? I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments. Now, moving right along into our next story. This is one of those ones where I had to read it multiple times. This sounds like some, somewhat awful B-movie script. I can't help but try to place myself in these people's shoes a lot of the times when they cover these stories. And no matter what I did, I could not figure out what had to go through this next guy's mind in order to make this a thing. Canadian man attacked by Krabi locals after stealing an ambulance. Police and residents in Krabi stopped a Canadian man after he stole and damaged an ambulance from a hospital earlier today, July 8th. Krabi Hospital contacted Muang Krabi Police Station after the foreign man, later identified as a 40-year-old Canadian national, drove an ambulance out of the hospital at about 2 a.m. Hospital staff told officers and Amarin TV that it was unclear why the man had come to the hospital or whether he had received any treatment. They became aware of him only when he was seen leaving the premises in the ambulance. Using a GPS tracking system, hospital staff located the ambulance parked on Napa Jaras Road. Police were dispatched to the area and found the vehicle abandoned in an alley. Officers reported that the driver's side door was damaged, allegedly after being kicked by the foreigner. Police said the Canadian man attempted to leave the scene on foot towards a nearby hotel. Upon his detainment, officers reported that he appeared to behave erratically, with initial observations suggesting possible intoxication or mental health issues, though no confirmation has been provided. This is not the first story that is this off the wall that we have covered, to say the least. And of course, there seems to be a common denominator here. Every time when these guys get stopped, whether it be a naked foreigner in the middle of the street in broad daylight right in the middle of Phuket, or the litany of other ones that we covered, there always seems to be some type of substance involved. And I don't know, granted, I did not grow up here. I am not very versed in the illicit substance world in Thailand, but a lot of people are quick to say, drinking, which, don't get me wrong, I have gotten blacked out with the best of them. And it's never crossed my mind to go and steal an ambulance or be out in the middle of the street naked. What do you guys think? Is there something here that I'm missing? Is there some type of substance that would be so inclined to push people to do these types of things? Please, if you know, educate me and anyone else who doesn't know down in the comments. Now, I enjoy making these videos and I hope you enjoy watching them because one, it's just fun to keep up with what's going on in the world, especially when it comes to your local area. But another reason that sometimes I tend to grab stories that may not seem crazy or funny or anything like that, there is an aspect of this that I do want to help. If maybe you're planning on traveling to Southeast Asia or anywhere for that matter, there are some lessons that I've kind of learned the hard way and some things that I've kind of learned to watch out for or things to be careful around that might not be the same thing as they would be in your home country. And our next story, unfortunately, is one of those situations. At least 15 people died when a speedboat carrying Indian tourists capsized off the popular holiday island of Phuket in southern Vietnam, according to local media reports. The speedboat was operated by Ocean Pair Island Company and was carrying 36 people when it overturned around 400 meters off an inlet. Multiple tourist and Coast Guard boats participated in a rescue effort, during which some of the people were plucked safely from the water. One boat owner involved in the rescue told VN Express that he reached the scene within 5 minutes, but the operation was hampered because many people were trapped inside the overturned boat. "Quote unquote, only a few people were brought out conscious," he said, adding that the sea off An Toi was rough at the time, although there was no rain and tourist boats were still operating in the area. A representative of Ocean Pair Island Company said the captain of the speedboat, who was in his 50s, had many years of experience operating passenger boats. The newspaper Toi Tre quoted local police as saying 21 people had been transported to a hospital for emergency treatment. 2 were said to be in critical condition. Now, of course, a huge thing for so many people that are wanting to come to Thailand is to go around, especially down south, check out the islands, go to beautiful beaches. And a reality of that is you're going to be taking speedboats just like this. I'm not covering this story in any way to say that as a whole, these boats are unsafe or you should avoid them in any way. What I will say is we all know that sometimes when it comes to, bills have to be paid or I'm going to be absolutely safe about what I do today, sometimes people can push it too far. I've been around the ocean my whole life. A thing that tends to come with it is if you spend a lot of time in the ocean, you can get cocky. If you've been out and you've gone out when it's super rough or maybe on a day that you shouldn't have, and you've done that a few times and everything was fine, it can be easy to push it a little bit too far. Last time, not this last time, but the time before I was in Vietnam, I was there with my buddy John. We had a plan to go to an island just like this. But we went out, it was just south of Da Nang. We took a taxi out there, and by the time we got out to where the water was, it was rough, like rough, super windy. And like I said, I've been around the water a lot. My buddy John actually works on boats, and we both kind of just looked at each other and were like, it's just a little much for us. But like they said, it wasn't raining, anything like that. So there was still boats running. All I'm saying is, of course, don't take it for granted. Just like getting in a car, it's one of those things. If you get in a car, you just put your seatbelt on. The likelihood is next to none, but all it takes is one time, right? Same thing if you're taking these boats. If it's a super rough day, you can always wait. You can always go later. And of course, most boats in Thailand are very good about it. But when you do get on, make sure that you and whoever you're with, you've got a life jacket for each of you. It's the proper size. You know how to put it on. And more than likely, you'll be good. For me personally, that's one of the most terrifying ways to go. So just saying, something to think about. I'm not here trying to be, Mr. Terrifier and talk you out of, spending time in those places, whether it be in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, you name it. Just be aware. As always, if there's anything else you'd like to see on the channel, any stories you would like us to dive into a little bit further, feel free to drop those as well if you made it this far in the video. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you enjoyed it, you'd like to see more, you know what to do. A little like and subscribe button is down below. I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you in the next one.